one near-fatal shooting, but he couldn't survive a second. Rap star Tupac Shakur died last night after a brief life in a rough business. He was 25.
In the legendary history of black entertainment, there have been countless shocking and heartbreaking deaths. But what's far more suspicious and disturbing is that so many of these tragedies are concentrated within the same families, as if some kind of dark curse refuses to let them go. Mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, and even young children, taken away one after another in the most heartbreaking and mysterious ways. From sudden assassinations and brutal massacres to suspicious accidents and unsolved murders, these families have suffered loss after loss, often in the spotlight of the entire world. Tonight, we're diving deep into 10 famous black families who endured devastating series of tragic deaths that shocked America and the entertainment industry. These are not random misfortunes. They are chains of unimaginable pain that destroyed bloodlines filled with talent, fame, and legacy. Hit that subscribe button right now, turn on notifications, and don't miss a single countdown. 10. The Hudson family. Massacre in one night. Let us now turn to one of the most heartbreaking family tragedies in recent American history. Jennifer Hudson had risen from singing in church choirs on Chicago's South Side to winning an Academy Award for her role in Dreamgirls. She was living what many saw as a fairy tale success story. But on the morning of October 24, 2008, that dream was brutally destroyed. It was a cold, damp autumn morning on October 24, 2008, in Chicago's tough Englewood neighborhood. The Hudson family home at 2311 South Yale Avenue, a place that once echoed with love, laughter, and the dreams of a close-knit family, was about to be shattered forever in one of the most heartbreaking tragedies in entertainment history. Driven by jealous rage and a toxic obsession, William Balfour, the estranged husband of Jennifer Hudson's older sister Julia, stormed into the house. What happened next was pure horror. He opened fire in a fit of uncontrollable anger, killing Jennifer's beloved mother, Darnell Donnerson, 57 years old, right there in the living room. Moments later, when her brother Jason Hudson, 29, rushed in to protect his family, he was gunned down too. His life taken in an instant inside the very home where he should have felt safest. But the nightmare didn't stop there. In a cruel and calculated act of pure evil, William Balfour then turned his rage on the most innocent victim of all, Jennifer's 7-year-old nephew, Julian King. The bright, smiling little boy who was the heartbeat and light of the entire Hudson family was ripped away from his home in a terrifying kidnapping. Balfour forced the terrified child into a vehicle and drove off, leaving behind a house filled with blood and death. For the next 3 agonizing, heart-wrenching days, the family and the entire city of Chicago held their breath, desperately praying and searching everywhere for little Julian. Volunteers, police, and relatives combed the streets, hoping against hope to bring him home safe. Then came the devastating news that completely broke what was left of the family's world. On October 27, 2008, 3 days after the tragedy, little Julian's body was found inside an abandoned white SUV just a few miles from the family home. The innocent 7-year-old had been tragically killed. He was still wearing the same pajamas he had on the morning he was taken from his home. The heartbreaking discovery left the entire family, investigators, and people across the nation in complete shock and unimaginable grief. Jennifer, who was in Los Angeles at the time, received the devastating call that her entire immediate family had been wiped out in a single morning. She was the only survivor. In 2012, Balfour was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences without parole. The brutal massacre shocked the entire country and became a painful symbol of domestic violence and gun crime in Chicago. Jennifer has since found strength in her faith in music, but the pain of losing her mother, brother, and nephew in one night remains with her forever. 9. The Gaye family, when a father killed his son. Now we come to one of the most shocking and tragic stories in music history. Marvin Gaye was the Prince of Motown, a legendary artist whose soulful voice and powerful songs like What's Going On, Let's Get It On, and Sexual Healing made him one of the most influential musicians of all time. But behind the success lay a deeply troubled and toxic relationship with his father. On the afternoon of April 1, 1984, Inside their family home in the Western Heights neighborhood of Los Angeles, years of deep-seated family tension finally reached a heartbreaking and tragic breaking point. After a heated argument with his wife, Marvin Gaye Sr., a strict minister who had long struggled with resentment toward his famous son, grabbed a .38 revolver that Marvin Gaye himself had given him as a gift. In a moment of uncontrollable rage, he shot his son in the chest at close range. As Marvin Gaye lay on the floor, his father fired a second shot. The legendary singer was rushed to the hospital, but was pronounced dead at 1:01 p.m., just one day before what would have been his 45th birthday. The shocking news that one of the greatest voices in soul music had been taken by his own father sent waves of disbelief and sorrow across the world. What happened to the family afterward? Marvin Gaye Sr. was arrested immediately. He was originally charged with first-degree murder, but after doctors discovered he had a brain tumor, the charges were reduced to voluntary manslaughter. In 1984, he received a suspended 6-year sentence and 5 years of probation. He never served time in prison. He spent his final years in poor health and passed away from pneumonia in 1998 at the age of 84. Marvin's mother, Alberta Gaye, witnessed the entire tragedy and served as the main witness. She divorced her husband after 49 years of marriage and lived with the deep pain of losing her son. She passed away in 1997. Marvin's siblings were also deeply affected. His brother Frankie, who was living in the same house at the time, continued his own music career, but carried the grief for the rest of his life until he passed in 2001. His sisters Jean and Ziola later spoke publicly about the difficult family environment and worked hard to protect Marvin's legacy. Marvin Gaye left behind 3 children: Marvin Gaye III, Nona Gaye, and Frankie Gaye. They grew up without their father, but many of them followed in his footsteps in music and entertainment. Nona Gaye especially became a successful singer and actress, keeping her father's spirit alive through her work. Even though this family tragedy ended the life of a music icon far too soon, Marvin Gaye's incredible voice, timeless songs, and emotional depth continue to touch millions of people around the world today. His story remains one of the most painful and unforgettable chapters in music history. 8. The Shakur family, Tupac and the curse of violence. Look at a family that many believe carries a heavy curse of violence and early death: the Shakurs. Tupac Shakur was more than just a rapper. He was a cultural icon, a poetic revolutionary whose raw talent and fearless voice made him one of the most influential artists of his generation. On the warm night of September 7, 1996, in Las Vegas, Tupac Shakur was riding high after watching his friend Mike Tyson knock out Bruce Seldon in just 109 seconds at the MGM Grand. Full of energy and celebrating in the front passenger seat of Suge Knight's black BMW 750IL, Tupac was heading to Club 662 with the Death Row crew. The strip was alive with neon lights and excitement. Earlier that evening, tension had already been building. After the fight, Tupac and his entourage got into a heated confrontation in the MGM Grand lobby with Orlando Anderson, a member of the Southside Compton Crips. Surveillance footage later showed Tupac and others attacking Anderson over a claimed earlier robbery involving a death row chain. The altercation was quick but intense, and it would prove fateful. The group briefly stopped at Tupac's hotel room at the Luxor, then continued toward the club. Around 11 p.m., police on bicycles pulled them over on Las Vegas Boulevard for blasting loud music and missing license plates. The plates were in the trunk, so they were let go quickly. Minutes later, at the intersection of East Flamingo Road and Colville Lane, a white Cadillac pulled up alongside the BMW. Gunshots suddenly rang out in the night. At least 13 rounds were fired from a .40 caliber Glock. Tupac was hit 4 times, twice in the chest, once in the arm, and once in the thigh. One bullet pierced his right lung. Suge Knight was grazed in the head by fragments but managed to make a U-turn and rush toward the hospital. Despite his injuries, Tupac reportedly stayed conscious at first, showing his fighting spirit even as chaos erupted. He fought bravely for 6 days in the hospital, undergoing multiple surgeries, including the removal of his right lung. He was placed in a medically induced coma. On September 13, 1996, at just 25 years old, Tupac Shakur was pronounced dead at 4:03 p.m. from respiratory failure and cardiac arrest. His mother, Afeni Shakur, made the painful decision to end life support. The shooting sent shockwaves through the music world and beyond. Tupac's death fueled endless rumors and conspiracy theories that still captivate fans today. Many pointed to gang retaliation from the Crips over the earlier fight. Others blamed the bitter East Coast-West Coast rap rivalry, with fingers pointed at figures connected to Biggie Smalls and Bad Boy Records. Some wilder theories claimed Suge Knight had something to do with it, or that Tupac faked his death and was living in Cuba or hiding somewhere, citing clues in his lyrics and the quick release of the Machiavelli album. For years, the case went cold, with no arrests. In 2023, Dwayne "Keffy" D. Davis was finally charged in connection with the murder, claiming in past interviews that he was in the Cadillac that night. The full truth remains debated. Tupac's tragic end at such a young age only amplified his legendary status. His raw talent, powerful messages, and fearless spirit continue to inspire millions. From California Love to his poetic reflections on life and struggle, Tupac's voice still echoes louder than ever, a symbol of brilliance cut short in one of hip-hop's darkest chapters. His death was only one chapter in the family's long and painful story. The tragedies did not end with Tupac. His beloved mother, Afeni Shakur, the woman who raised him through struggle and later protected his legacy, passed away on May 2, 2016, at the age of 69 after suffering cardiac arrest at her home in California. His stepfather, Mutulu Shakur, who had been a major influence in his life, was released from prison in late 2022 after serving decades, only to pass away from cancer in July 2023 at age 72. Even one of Tupac's half-sisters, Nneka Garland, died suddenly in March 2023 at just 49 years old from a heart attack. Many other close friends and associates from Tupac's inner circle were also killed or died far too young, adding to the heavy weight of loss. For nearly 30 years, conspiracy theories about who was really behind Tupac's murder have continued to swirl, from gang retaliation to the East Coast-West Coast rivalry and even wilder claims. Tupac himself often rapped about feeling marked for death, as if he knew his time was short. Sadly, the violence and pain that surrounded his life seemed to have followed his family like a dark shadow that refuses to lift. 7. The Smalls family, the notorious B.I.G, and a mother's endless pain. Let us now turn to a story that still brings tears to millions of hip-hop fans around the world. The tragic fate of Christopher Wallace, forever known as the Notorious B.I.G. Biggie was the ultimate storyteller of the streets. With his deep, buttery voice and cinematic lyrics, he painted vivid pictures of Brooklyn life on his classic album, Ready to Die. By 1997, he was on top of the world. His second album, Life After Death, was about to drop, and he was preparing for global stardom. On the rainy night of March 9, 1997, in Los Angeles, Biggie left a Vibe magazine party at the Peterson Automotive Museum. He was sitting comfortably in the passenger seat of a black GMC Suburban, laughing with friends as the car rolled slowly down Wilshire Boulevard near Fairfax Avenue. Suddenly, a dark Chevrolet Impala pulled up alongside them at a red light. The driver, dressed in a suit and bow tie, opened fire with a 9mm pistol. 4 bullets tore into Biggie's body. Chaos erupted as the SUV sped toward Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Despite heroic efforts by doctors, Christopher Wallace was pronounced dead at 1:15 a.m. He was only 24 years old. Just 6 months after Tupac's murder, the hip-hop world was once again shattered. Biggie's mother, Valletta Wallace, received the call every parent fears most. For the next 28 years, she carried the unimaginable weight of losing her only son. She raised his 2 children, fought for justice, and kept his legacy alive while living with a grief that never fully healed. Valletta passed away on February 21, 2025, at age 78, still without knowing who truly ordered her son's murder. The case remains officially unsolved, fueling decades of conspiracy theories. Biggie's death, coming so soon after Tupac's, created a dark cloud over that era of hip-hop that many still call the curse of the East Coast-West Coast War. His mother's quiet strength in the face of such devastating loss became its own powerful story of resilience. 6. The Lopes family, the mysterious end of Left Eye. Few artists were as fearless and spiritually complex as Lisa Left Eye Lopes. As the fiery rapper of TLC, she brought raw energy, creativity, and eccentricity to one of the biggest girl groups in music history. Songs like Waterfalls, No Scrubs, and Creep showcased her unique voice and bold personality. In early 2002, Left Eye traveled to Honduras seeking spiritual healing and clarity. On April 25, 2002, while driving a rented Mitsubishi Montero SUV near La Ceiba, she swerved to avoid a truck, then overcorrected. The vehicle rolled violently multiple times before crashing into trees. 7 other people were in the car. All of them survived with injuries. Lisa, who was not wearing a seatbelt, was ejected from the vehicle and died instantly from severe head trauma. She was only 30 years old. The accident was especially eerie because Left Eye had been filming a documentary about her spiritual journey at the time. Before this trip, she had been going through a highly unconventional period. She once burned down her boyfriend Andre Risen's mansion and openly spoke about visions, numerology, and premonitions of death. Her sudden passing left many wondering whether it was truly an accident or connected to the intense spiritual path she was walking. After her death, the remaining members of TLC, Shabazz, and Chili chose not to replace her. The group continued honoring her spirit, but they have always said TLC was never the same without Left Eye's wild creativity and fearless soul. Her family continued to face hardships in the years that followed, adding to the sense that her passing marked the beginning of a painful chapter for those who loved her. Left Eye's short but unforgettable life remains one of the most mysterious and haunting losses in 2000s R&B. 5. The King family, a legacy stained by assassination. No family in modern American history has sacrificed more for the cause of justice than the Kings, and no family has endured more repeated tragedy. On April 4, 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated while standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. The nation mourned, but for his family, the pain had only just begun. 6 years later, on the peaceful Sunday morning of June 30, 1974, tragedy struck again at the heart of the family's faith. Inside Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, the very church where Martin had preached as a young man, his mother, Alberta Williams King, 69, was playing the organ during the Sunday service. Suddenly, a 23-year-old man named Marcus Wayne Cheneau stood up, pulled out 2 pistols, and began shooting while shouting, "All Christians are my enemies." Alberta King was shot in the head and died later that day. A church deacon was also killed in the attack. The King family had already lost Martin, and in 1969, Martin's younger brother, A.D. King, died in a mysterious drowning. The back-to-back assassinations, first the son, then the mother in the same sacred space where the family had worshipped for generations, left them shattered. Alberta had been the spiritual backbone of the family, the choir director who held everyone together after Martin's death. These repeated acts of violence against the Kings raised painful questions about how deep hatred and racism ran in America. Their story is not only one of incredible courage and sacrifice, but also one of profound, unrelenting grief that spanned generations. The King family's suffering became a powerful symbol of the heavy price paid in the fight for civil rights. 4. The Shabazz family, Malcolm X, and the long shadow of violence. Few families in American history have been forced to endure as much violence and loss as the Shabazz family. On February 21, 1965, at the Audubon Ballroom in New York City, Malcolm X was assassinated while preparing to speak. As he began his address, gunmen rushed forward and opened fire. Malcolm was hit by multiple shotgun blasts and handgun shots. His wife, Betty Shabazz, who was pregnant with twins at the time, threw herself over their 4 young daughters to shield them as bullets flew. Malcolm X was pronounced dead at age 39, leaving Betty to raise their 6 daughters alone in the face of constant threats. The violence did not end there. On June 1, 1997, tragedy struck the family again in the most heartbreaking way. Betty Shabazz, then 61 years old and living in Yonkers, New York, was at home when her 12-year-old grandson, Malcolm Shabazz, son of her daughter Kubala, set fire to her apartment. Betty suffered third-degree burns over 80% of her body. She fought for her life in the intensive care unit at Jacobi Medical Center for 3 weeks before passing away on June 23, 1997. The young Malcolm later said he was angry because he felt neglected. He was sentenced to 18 months in juvenile detention for manslaughter and arson. This unimaginable loss, a grandmother killed by her own grandson, added another layer of profound pain to a family already scarred by assassination and constant danger. The Shabazz family has lived for decades under the heavy shadow of violence, death threats, and trauma. Betty Shabazz spent her life protecting her husband's legacy and raising strong daughters, only to meet such a cruel end. Their story is one of incredible resilience, but also a heartbreaking reminder of how violence can echo through generations. 3. The Williams family, the unspeakable loss of Yetunde. Serena and Venus Williams are two of the greatest athletes in tennis history, powerful, graceful, and dominant on the court. But behind their extraordinary success lies a deep family wound that has never fully healed. On the night of September 14, 2003, in Compton, California, the same city where the sisters grew up, their oldest half-sister, Yetunde Price, 31, was brutally murdered. Yetunde, a nurse and personal assistant to her famous sisters, was sitting in the passenger seat of a white SUV with her boyfriend, Roland Wormley. As they drove through the neighborhood, shots rang out from a nearby suspected drug house. An assault rifle bullet shattered the window and struck Yetunde in the back of the head. She was killed instantly. The shooting was later determined to be a case of mistaken identity related to gang violence in the area. In 2006, Robert Edward Maxfield was convicted of voluntary manslaughter and sentenced to 15 years in prison. He was released on parole in 2018. For Venus and Serena, the loss was devastating. Yetunde was not just their sister, she was a close confidant, a mother figure, and one of the few people who truly understood their journey from Compton to global stardom. The sisters have spoken about how the murder made them hyper-aware of their safety and changed the way they moved through the world. Serena once described the pain as something that still hurts every single day. The tragedy forced the Williams family to confront the harsh reality that even immense success could not fully protect them from the violence that plagued their hometown. Yetunde's death remains the biggest heartbreak in the Williams family story, a painful reminder that no amount of fame or fortune can shield loved ones from senseless street violence. 2. The Jackson family, the curse of the king of pop. No family in entertainment history have achieved such immense global fame while suffering so much private pain as the Jacksons. Joe and Katherine Jackson raised 10 children in a small house in Gary, Indiana, pushing them relentlessly toward stardom. What followed was a level of success that changed music forever, but also a shadow that many believe became a deadly family curse. The tragedies began early. Brandon Jackson, the twin brother of Marlon, died shortly after birth. Decades later, the losses continued. On June 25, 2009, the world was stunned when Michael Jackson, the king of pop, was found unresponsive at his rented mansion in Holmby Hills, Los Angeles. He was 50 years old. The official cause of death was acute propofol intoxication, ruled a homicide due to the actions of his personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray. Michael's death sparked endless conspiracy theories, from claims that he was murdered for his music catalog to rumors involving Illuminati sacrifices and even faked death. Then in 2024, another blow came when Tito Jackson passed away, adding to the growing list of losses. Several grandchildren have also faced serious health struggles, addiction issues, and public breakdowns. Many fans and observers point to Joe Jackson's extremely strict and sometimes abusive management style as the root of the family's long-term trauma. The relentless pressure, lack of normal childhood, and constant media scrutiny, they say, created a toxic environment that took its toll on multiple generations. The Jackson family's story is one of dazzling lights on stage and heartbreaking darkness behind the curtain. Their extraordinary success came at an unimaginable personal cost, leading many to believe the Jackson bloodline carries a heavy, unbreakable curse. 1. The Houston family, a deadly inherited tragedy. In the glittering world of R&B, few voices were as powerful and beloved as Whitney Houston. Known as The Voice, she sold over 200 million records worldwide and delivered timeless classics like I Will Always Love You, Greatest Love of All, and I Have Nothing. But behind the dazzling success was a family seemingly haunted by the same demons. On February 11, 2012, Whitney Houston was found unresponsive in a bathtub at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in Beverly Hills, California. She was only 48 years old. The official cause was drowning, complicated by atherosclerotic heart disease and cocaine use. The image of the once untouchable superstar lying lifeless in a hotel bathtub shocked the world. Just 3 years later, on January 31st, 2015, tragedy repeated itself in an eerily similar way. Whitney's only daughter, Bobby Christina Brown, was found unresponsive, face down in a bathtub at her home in Roswell, Georgia. She was 21 years old. After being kept on life support for several months, Bobby Christina passed away on July 26, 2015. The official cause was listed as pneumonia, but the circumstances mirrored her mother's death almost exactly. The shocking parallels led to widespread rumors and conspiracy theories. Some claimed the deaths were not accidental, but part of a Houston family curse involving generational trauma, addiction, and even alleged foul play by people close to the family. Others whispered about dark industry forces or spiritual curses. Bobby Brown and other family members have spoken about the heavy generational pain and substance abuse issues that plagued the family for years. The Houston tragedy became a painful symbol of how fame, addiction, and unresolved trauma can destroy even the most talented bloodlines. Mother and daughter, two generations of extraordinary voices, were taken in almost identical circumstances, leaving the world wondering why such a gifted family had to suffer so deeply. If these tragic family histories touched you, please hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and tell us in the comments which story shocked you the most. See you in the next video.